Staying off all the past mistakes of the fight against corruption in the country is what we just highlighted from that particular report. Joining us to look at issues in the fight against corruption is a legal practitioner. He joins us from Abuja, Ikenga Bogochinyere. Good morning and thanks for joining us. You saw that particular report. Lawyers and everyone concerned, they've been on the same matter, looking at the renewed fight against corruption in the country. Looking at it from 2002, looking at the EFCC's move in that regard and what we have seen over the years till this moment. Let's quickly do a rough overview. How would you say the Commission has fared so far?
Not just the Commission, I think the entire anti-corruption agencies has completely, as long as I'm concerned, failed. They have not been able to live up to their constitutional responsibility. They have not, like you saw in the report, most of the cases you see is more or less media trial. We keep hearing this person is accused of this and accused of that. At the end of the day, we don't even get to see the matter fully completed. It gets worse that even the biggest problem the anti-corruption war is facing right now is that the people who are driving the anti-corruption process, the agencies, the EFCC, the Code of Conduct Tribunal, the Code of Conduct Bureau, they seem to be facing integrity tests right now. And that has been the problem over time, that their activities are more or less reactionary. If you go to the 5th schedule of the Constitution, I think section 15 or thereabout, that established the Code of Conduct Bureau, it gave them a constitutional mandate that they should accept this declaration, they should verify them, and if they notice some discrepancies, they should make reference to the people, the person involved before sending it to the tribunal. How come since 1999 to today, it has been very difficult for the Code of Conduct Bureau to be able to do its constitutional duty? The law equally gives them mandate to set up offices in the 36 states. How come they are unable to verify ordinary asset declaration forms of people? That the only way when it becomes a kind of tool for political witch hunting or kind of this, they have not been able, the anti-corruption agencies have not been able to live up to their expectation. Look at this recent case of the EFCC. Today, nobody has even asked where is Ibrahim Lamode. Today, the head of the anti-corruption agencies is facing a serious issue, and he cannot even surrender himself to defend the allegation level against him. So that is how bad the war against corruption has gotten. The president has shown the political will. But my fear here now is that the agencies that are supposed to drive it are lacking the capacity to do that.
You know, I want to talk about the agencies very quickly here because we have the ICPC, we have the CCB, we also have the EFCC, and we have the police. We also mustn't forget all of that. And when you talk about the will to pursue the drive against corruption, what comes to mind has to do with sometimes investigation. Do you think we have fared well in that regard?
Well, I think we have fared well in media investigation and media trials, the big headlines we see every day since 1990 today. But in terms of doing watertight investigation that will help you arrive at a full final conviction, they have not been able to do good work. You can see a situation whereby they will file a case in court. Tomorrow they are seeking an adjournment. They want to withdraw and amend. How do you want to withdraw and amend? In that case, you are not even prepared. What are you being paid salary for? So in almost all their cases, 2/3 of them, they have to withdraw and amend. So those people who are doing this, they don't know what the law says, don't they read it very well? So as long as I'm concerned, the foundation for fighting this war against corruption has not been strengthened. What we are having is reactionary activities, and it's going to dread the war against corruption.
When you say the foundation for fighting this war has not been strengthened, what exactly are you talking about?
Okay, first of all, I will start with the issue of procedure. Most times, like let's start with the Code of Conduct Bureau. First of all, under the 5th schedule, when you make your submission, they're supposed to verify to find out whether there's any discrepancies. And when they do that, Section 3D of the Act requires them to notify the person that have that violation. And if the person accepts in writing that he committed the offense, that there will be no need for referral of the matter to the Code of Conduct Tribunal. This is something that is written in black and white in the Act and in the Constitution. But from 1999 to today, they keep making the same mistake of hurriedly taking somebody, going to the Code of Conduct Tribunal to arraign him without following the laid-down constitutional procedures. And what does that lead us to? It leads to the matter being struck out. If you remember vividly, in November 30th, I think 2011, Justice Danla Diuma, the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, when the Code of Conduct Bureau referred Tinubu's matter for trial. If you remember, you understand one of the reasons why that matter was struck at was violation of Section 3D, which requires that they should have given Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu period information of those charges. They did not do that, and on that ground, Justice Danla Diuma struck at that because he said it was a condition precedent before a charge can be preferred. Now, under our own watchful eye, you see Senator Bukola Saraki being arraigned before the Code of Conduct Tribunal. The same Section 3D again was violated without notifying him. So why do we keep wasting our time going up and down, doing this thing at the end of the day, wasting taxpayers' money? And I keep asking myself, does it mean that they don't have the capacity and the competence? And also, we go to the issue of integrity. In a judicial process, one of the things that is sacrosanct is integrity of the presiding officer. Once integrity is in question, it goes a whole long way to take away a lot from the issue at hand. Look at EFCC, for instance. Most EFCC people that have come from Farida Waziri and so on and so forth, you see all this integrity issue. And recently, Lamode, over the issue of almost an allegation of over 1 trillion or thereabout missing. And even instead of him as the corruption fighter to come and say, okay, this is the fact, this is the way it is. I'm even hearing that he has even left the country. Nobody has been able to ask, where is this man, the man that is supposed to be fighting corruption? You now go over to the Code of Conduct Tribunal. You were here in 2012. 1.5 million naira was paid into the account of the PA of the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal by one Taiwo, a former custom controller, who was facing trial before Justice Danla Diuma. At the end of the day, when EFCC arrested the PA to the chairman, they made statement which all of us were aware, and the young man received that payment, withdrew it the same day, and in his statement to EFCC, he said he gave it to the chairman of the Bureau. That was what led to crisis of confidence in the Code of Conduct Tribunal that made the other two chairmen to say they will not sit with Danla Diuma. For almost a period of over 3 years, that tribunal did not sit. It got so worse that the Attorney General then, Mohammed Adoke, wrote to the president after EFCC said they have established a prima facie case against the tribunal chairman that he was actually involved in the issue of accepting a kickback from somebody facing trial before him. They recommended that President Jonathan should initiate the process of the removal. But President Jonathan was unable to fulfill that constitutional responsibility that requires him to send that to the National Assembly for them to have to third address to remove the man. Today, if you bring me, for instance, assuming I violated the Code of Conduct Tribunal, you bring me before Danla Diuma, I will not have confidence for him to try me. Because why will you try me when you have already violated the provisions of the law, including Section 15 of that act that says you should not even accept...
First you're a lawyer, and these are just merely allegations. You agree?
No, sorry, it is not a mere allegation. It is not a mere allegation. It is documented, and even
it still remains an allegation. Even if you have a document, it still remains allegations, right?
Are you aware that the PA is facing trial right now?
I wanted us to get this clear because you're a lawyer. We have to be very careful when we make comments. You still agree, whether you have documents or that you would want to call facts, it still remains allegation.
Okay, so back to what we were saying. The issue of integrity...
Are we clear on that?
Yes, we are clear on that, 100% clear on that.
Good.
The issue of integrity has to be dealt with first of all. The person, the hunter must be clean before he ends up being hunted. And also, when somebody presiding over a corruption case has allegation of involvement in corruption, one may tend to believe that, what if somebody puts him under pressure and say, okay, if you convict this man for me, I'm going to let you off the hook of what you are facing. That will not be able to allow people before the tribunal to get justice. And it is because of that.
Let me bring in this perspective. Yes. Being a legal practitioner, you should be able to help us out of this. If someone has a case before a particular judge or a chairman of a tribunal, and you have a case against that person's credibility being on that particular panel, what do you do?
Well, in this situation, we have a constitutional problem because by the provision of the Constitution, the Code of Conduct Tribunal is composed of 3 members who, once they are above 40 years, will stay in that job until they reach retirement age. The only way you can remove them when they commit gross misconduct is that the 2 chambers of the parliament with a 2/3 resolution recommends to the president to remove them. So even if you raise allegation of bias against somebody like Justice Danla Diuma right now, there's nothing that can happen because he can't step down.